Welcome back to the Underway podcast. It's episode 20, and we are joined by a very special guest today, Murray Twyford. Remember, underway is the only way, and today is the day to get underway. Muzz, how you doing, mate?
I'm good, thanks, Russ. Doing really well.
Hey, Muzza.
Hey, Jack, how are you, mate?
Yeah, good, man. Good. We're all underweight up out here. Feels
Yeah.
good.
Thought I'd better wear the gear, make sure I'm representing.
Oh, yeah.
I do anyway, so it hasn't changed.
This is like of the jumpers I wear. I reckon this like the underway jumpers are probably what I wear 90% of the time.
Yeah.
Even on the weekends, I still like I'll just grab my underway hoodie. I'm like, what about you?
I don't know. When I'm at home, I'm just chilling. I like to keep my jumpers clean for work, because I don't know.
That's fair enough.
That's just how I like to do it. Yeah, I just think of it that way.
I live and breathe in it half the time, so it's just the relaxed wear at home, and it's underway all the time. So,
Yeah.
we're always in the gear.
Hell yeah.
Speaking of which, Sammy, Sammy's in the background over here. When are we getting new hoodies, man? Because I feel like I need an upgrade.
He's waiting on the numbers, and I just wanted to confirm with you guys because I thought we're doing the same thing. Did you want to change? Anyways, we can have this conversation off topic.
So no time soon from Sam.
Well, if we have the same thing in black, they could be ordered in 5 minutes. But if I have to change the designs, so I'll have to speak to the boys about that.
What's your preference? See, obviously, like this new design.
I like the stitching drop, but I also want to go back to our OGs. I think in black though, in that color.
I don't know. I feel like I prefer this.
Just the small one.
That's a rare drop, though, man.
It is a rare drop.
That's what we're trying to do, man.
We can do another. Rare
I like
drop
the stitched
like
writing. That's what I like. I like the stitching. Yeah. The screen printing, because like even my old black ones, like the old original black ones, the screen printing's fading now.
Yeah, I never wear my own original black ones.
The stitching is they say that you need to go all stitching or all screen. So you can't do like it looks funny if it's stitched on the front and screen on the back. So like the stitching was good for that, but what do you stitch on the back?
You do little patches, like a low patch. Like we did the little arrow behind that. There's actually a little arrow on the back of it.
Yeah, the back corner. Yeah, no. All right, so now we've changed our mind. We're just going to make it longer.
But if anyone has any ideas, definitely if you've got to make it up and send it through to us, because everyone loves to spitball an idea of, don't you do this color with this, that. But if you've got an actual idea, definitely send it through to us on our Instagram.
The only thing I think is the emblem. It's good and everything. It's small.
Yeah, let's
get it in your face.
That's exactly my thoughts are when you go to a competition and stuff. When you're in our old stuff and in this, you're from CrossFit Underway. That's a little bit. You got to look at it a little bit.
I take my glasses off. I've got to look a bit closer.
It's because our brand is more represented with that old one. So, but yeah. I missed the whole intro. What'd you ask Muzz so far? Did you?
We haven't spoken about anything.
Did you introduce him as our final coach? Everyone's met the team now. Anyways, I'll get off.
Yeah. Oh well, I suppose Muzz is our final coach to come on the podcast. Leaving the best till last, perhaps. And
I don't know about that.
Yeah. And we're excited to have you on, Muzz. And yeah, we just wanted to really spend this podcast to be able to just get in touch with you a bit more and hear your come up story in fitness. And obviously you're our oldest coach, probably our wisest coach. And so how old are you, Muzz?
I'm 56.
56 years old. 56 years young. So trying to remain respectful here, being the youngest person in the room right now. And so, I'd just like to know where you actually started your fitness journey and what prompted you into fitness. Have you always been into it?
Look, I was I consistent with it? No, but yes, I always was a member at a gym, and I was the conventional gym goer that, did the old classic hypertrophy training and, chest and buys and tries, chest and back, legs, that
typical
sort of
gym
thing.
splits, 24/7 gym.
Usually miss leg day, but as you all know now, but I'm paying the punishment for it now. But always in the gym. I'd have breaks from it, but always come back to it. So Unfortunately, as a young man, there was no such thing as CrossFit back in my day, so
Yeah.
you sort of didn't
And
have that as an option.
I mean, obviously, probably when you were growing up and hitting the gym, the internet wasn't a thing. So where were you getting your information on, like your training splits and stuff? Were you reading magazines, or you just listen to the blokes at the gym, or what? Where were you
Yeah, it was
sort of getting?
probably a little bit of all that. I had a lot of friends that were in the gym and that sort of thing as well. So we'd spitball ideas. But yeah, you're going to magazines and things like that and looking up, or computers were around, but of course, you had to search a bit harder, and the information was as readily available. So yeah, you just used to get out there and make up my own shit sometimes, or you'd just find someone that had a program, buy the book,
Yeah.
and follow his program. So.
Yeah. So did you have a trainer back?
Not really. I have done PTs and things like that in the past, but most of the time I was self-training and things like that, which part of the limitations on things like Olympic lifts and that, I didn't really dabble into those until I sort of started to get more of an interest towards the CrossFit side of things, because I didn't have the technical knowledge to learn it. So it was always things like deadlifts and your larger compound movements and things like that. And then of course you did your accessory work and that sort of thing in the gym. So yeah, nothing officially trained until I got older. So I suppose so.
I mean, Olympic lifting was a dying sport until CrossFit sort of reinvigorated it. They were on
Sure.
it was like, it was on the out. There was no funding for it. Nowadays, it's bigger than ever. It's like now people know what it is. So, I mean, like that's probably the Olympic lifting community is probably happy CrossFit came along, even though they hated on them for the first few years. But now they're like, oh, now more people than ever are doing Olympic lifting, which is great.
Yeah, I think that it sort of started off with people hating on CrossFit. And I think that a big movement as to why that actually changed was because Olympic lifters started to get on board, and I feel like Olympic lifters they were respected more than CrossFitters to begin with. Like we were sort of looked like how, I don't know, maybe F45 was looked at like when they sort of first came on the scene, and they didn't really change for me, to be honest. But I think there was a change that CrossFit made, and that was when you started seeing CrossFit people do legit stuff. I know there's a huge thing about hybrid athletes at the moment, people that are hitting like marathons or ultra marathons and hitting like massive powerlifting totals like in the same day or same weekend, and that's sort of trending at the moment, and that sort of really stems off what CrossFitters have been doing. But yeah, Olympic lifters definitely brought CrossFit a good amount of respect, which was
But the other thing with like the type of training that I was doing back in the day, it took time, to get through all, you do decline bench, incline bench, this, and, you work 3 or 4 body parts. You're in the gym for 2 hours to try and get through a program. And, once CrossFit come along and here's a program that's tapping on lots of different things and essentially in an hour format, you could get a lot of bang for your buck inside of an hour. It was a lot of movements that were hitting your legs. Like a classic thruster is a squat into an overhead press. So you're pretty much tackling every part of your body throughout that movement. So you were getting a lot for the time you were spending on it, whereas the other way was doing the bicep curls and the triceps and this and that. And it was just time intensive. So that was where it was hard.
Can you remember the reps you used to do? Because I could tell you my first training split.
Look, you were always working in and around that 8 to 10 rep range. Yeah. Or, even coming back to the classic 5x5, those sorts of things. So
starting strength.
Yeah.
Like that's everyone's
that came later.
Introduction to
but it was always 3 sets, 8 reps.
Yeah.
And build up to a heavy weight and away you go. And it was the same. We weren't worrying about, look, I work at 80% or this sort of thing. And that's probably education, not knowing stuff. And, but it worked. Look, I was in good shape there for a while, and then of course I'd start a family and you didn't have time for all that. So that'd go away, then you'd come back to it and that sort of thing. So, yeah.
Did you play footy?
Yeah, up until I was about 22.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So I guess that's where you probably learned how to lift weights. Were they lifting weights back in the day? Local?
No. It was just running around. I was only ever reserves
Yeah.
grade player and that sort of thing. I played for Dingley and followed after my older brother, played there. But, once again, I worked for myself. I was a truck driver back in those days, and I had a young family and got knocked around a couple of times and thought, I probably can't really afford the injuries that may come. So the football took a back step, and that's partly where I started looking more at the gym and doing that sort of stuff. So
Yeah, nice. And you said you got obviously you're a family man, and a lot of people find it hard to make time for the gym because of family. Like how do you find fitting gym into your schedule around your life, around, spending time with your spouse and kids and grandkids even now?
well, that's where I guess being a morning trainer, so I'm up early. I get up early no matter what, Saturday, Sunday, doesn't really matter. I'm up early, and that's how I fit it in. It tends to cause less disruption to the rest of the day, be it work or family or anything, by getting up, getting in there and getting it done, works best for me. And I tend to find if my day at work is pretty intense and all that sort of thing, if I'm going to find an excuse not to go, it's probably going to be at the back end of the day.
Yeah.
So I've got a lot of respect for guys that show up at 7 o'clock at night and that sort of thing. I don't think I could do it, but I guess it's like anything. It's you do what you do. Where it works for you, then by all means hit it. So
yeah. So you find that a big part of actually fitting it in around your family is just waking up and getting it done in the morning. Yeah. And how do you actually win the morning? Like how do you get up, and like is it the routine, or like what for you drives you out of bed in the morning? And because you're very consistent in training in the morning, you always have been.
Yeah. Look, I have an alarm like everybody, but I tend to find that the alarm's not the thing that wakes me up. I think it's just the habit of it.
Do you have hard mornings?
Yeah, I do. Some days, the bar just feels heavy. If I tend to not stay up very late.
Yeah, okay, that was actually going to be my question. What time do you go to bed?
I usually start planning to go to bed about 8:30. So the idea is I'm ready to sleep at 9. It's very rare I go much later than that.
Because I think Jack actually hit the nail on the head. You are super consistent, and you also, I would say, in a not high stress. You're a manager at what you do, and you also coach as well.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on.
Yeah,
so if anyone was to sort of not rock up to class, it makes sense. Like you got a lot going on.
Yeah.
So you think going to bed early is literally the reason why you rock up every day, or even if you have a night where you stay up, you're still going to be there.
I'm still going to be there, but I try to not. You're always going to have a day where it's going to go out on you. You might have a function on or an event or something like that. You sort of groan at the thing and go, "Oh, the party's starting when I'm ready to go to bed." But but it's like everything in life. You might have a blowout, but you get back on it the next day and try and make sure you're. And part of our challenge thing is prioritizing that sleep and making sure you're doing that. And it makes it easier. My wife's the same. She's an early riser. We don't sit there, at night just watching TV for the sake of watching TV. We turn it off and we go to bed. It's time to chill. We have a chat and then off to sleep. So be consistent in your bedtime. Be consistent in your wake up time. I think that's part of it.
Go to bed earlier.
It's funny how the simple things work, isn't it? It's usually the simple answer, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's just consistency on that sort of thing. So.
Yeah. And I think you probably figured out that you value it, that you value waking up early and getting things done. And it's helped you be consistent along the way, which is really cool. So I think a cool talking point for today is to actually talk about your journey in fitness, and particularly your weight loss and the weight loss that you went through, and just interested in like where that began and where you're at in life, and where you decided that you wanted to actually make a change, and if it was the sedentary lifestyle of being a truck driver, and what reasons, excuses led you there, how did you find to being your way to being such a fit 56-year-old now?
Look, truck driving was the catalyst.
Where did you start?
I'm not going to blame that, but I was sitting in a truck, 12 hours a day. every time I put fuel in my car, it was a hot dog and a pie and a this and a that. So nutrition wasn't really a focus, and unfortunately, weight gain creeps up on you. You don't see it coming, and then just all of a sudden, bang, you're there, and you tend to hide from it a little bit. Baggy clothes, don't look in the mirror. But yeah, I cut all that sort of garb out of the way. I just got to a stage, and not to get morbid or anything, but unfortunately, my parents passed away at a pretty young age. My mum was 54, my dad 56, which the same age I am today.
Wow.
He was a truck driver for most of his life. He was overweight, had a heart attack at 35, and then passed away at 56. So I got to a stage, I think I was in my early 40s. And my oldest boy, Sean, did his march out for the Army Reserves, and there was a photo in there, and I looked at that and I said, oh my God, is that what I look like? And I'd never really taken a good hard look at myself. And I sort of, going back to my parents' part, my kids don't really remember my parents, and I find that sad. So I sat my kids down at the time and I said, look, you know what, I'm heading down the path that my father went. My mother wasn't the same thing. It was another issue with her, but the weight issue was getting out of control. And I said, look, I make a promise to you today, your kids are going to know me.
Yeah.
All right. And then I turned the switch, and fortunately I have a really supportive wife and who's a nerd on nutrition, and she loves all that stuff. And she said, why don't we try this? And at first it was just simple things like lunch, I turned to fruit. I just had fruit for lunch. And then she knew some people in America that ran a CrossFit box, of all things. And we were looking at them and what they were doing, and we asked them about their nutrition, and they said paleo. So we eventually evolved into a paleo type diet. So our thing was real nutritious food. If it comes in a packet, don't eat it. The old ethos, nuts and seeds, that CrossFit promote. And I did that. So I think it was a little less than a year. Bradley, my younger boy, which you all know, used to train with us at the gym. He did his march out when he went full-time Army. A year later, I've got another grab, and I'd lost 45 kilo.
Wow.
Inside of that year. I went further. I'd lost 55 in total.
Yeah.
I got down to about 85 kilo. And I don't think that was necessarily healthy for me. I was working a lot of hours. I'd changed jobs. I was doing work, running a supermarket. I was on my feet all day. It was just run, no eat. So nutrition wasn't good. I'm now running around about the 95, 96 kilo mark.
Yep.
But I think it's a healthy 96. I don't feel
And
like
so you were lighter before. What weight were you?
85.
85, yeah.
That was probably my lightest. That's where I lost. So I've come back up in a bit of weight, but I think I've come up in the right way. It's, yes, problems with being a fat bloke. I've still got some loose skin and things like that are around the place and that sort of thing. Do I let it bother me? Not too much. I think at the end of the day, I could show you photos. I think from 15 years ago, whenever it was, I decided to make this change. 13 years, 43 to 56. So 13 years ago, I think I look younger now than I did back then.
Wow.
I was having problems with hernias, gallbladders. I was due to have my gallbladder removed, but changing my diet fixed my gallbladder.
Right.
So I didn't have to lose that.
Drinking from the fountain of youth.
Yeah, and I think it is. I think it is. I feel great. I like how I look. That's the side effect of good food and a healthy lifestyle. Have I got vices still? Yes, I do. But I'm always trying to get better at things. And then I started my own little home gym years ago, and started training myself, and then following these people, friends of my wife, who were running a CrossFit box and seeing this crazy stuff they were doing. But I liked the concept, and I started implementing a lot of that into my own training. Not as technical, but I did a CrossFit-esque Metconney type training style, and in the end I was training people in my garage. Mind you, I think it was probably around the same time that Russ did his PT course when I lost the weight, that was my present to myself, was I went and did my Cert 3 and 4 as a PT. I looked at going and doing it professionally, but in the end, I really did the course for me, just to help me and my training and my knowledge and things like that. So, and then over the years it evolved. Brad come home from the army and said, I'm going to start training with your dad. And we were out there. And then one day he just rocked up and said, I'm going to do the Open. And he went and did the Open. And I probably took a year longer before I decided to finally bite the bullet. You know, I had that misconception that most people do of CrossFit. I need to be fitter before I do it.
Right.
You know, and it wasn't until I started doing it and realized that there's every walk of life in there, and the ultimate thing that everything's scalable. You don't have to walk in there and know how to bar muscle up. You don't have to know how to handstand walk. You don't have to know even how to Olympic lift. Just as long as you've got a desire and a will to get in there and give it a crack, it can give you the results. You know, it's about you and what you want to do and what you want from it. So,
sorry, Muzz, I'll just pause you there because I do have a question for you. Bringing up Brad again and your other son Sean, who both went to the army, and you said you actually had a moment where you looked at yourself differently for the first time. I think it was at Sean's his presentation.
It's March Out. It's when they finish their basic training and they actually are ready basically to become soldiers. So,
yeah. Right. And I think it's just important to note that it's like you had this lifestyle shift or this mindset shift where you were looking at your son doing something successful that, you know, he probably had to do a whole bunch of fitness training to get to that point of doing his March Out, and Brad would have had to as well. Were they big motivators for you and you making a change, seeing your boys go and take part in an endeavor like that?
Was that the motivation? I don't know.
Or perhaps partly.
Look, maybe subconsciously, but I think in the end it became the thing where I wanted a long life, and I wanted to be, years later now, I'm a grandfather of 3.
Was it seeing them growing up, making a change into adulthood, because that's probably a big moment there where I'm just thinking what actually put you in that mindset to look at yourself differently that day. And it feels like,
I was always a big guy, and I looked at myself in the photo and I went, I'm not a big guy. I'm a fat guy.
Right. Right.
Let's be honest. And that's what I saw. And I went, where did he come from? I didn't see him sneak up on me, and I know you look in the mirror at yourself every day and you do all these sort of things, but I don't know. I obviously mentally kidded myself that I was still okay, but it was just this thing, and maybe it was the angle of the photo or whatever. And I just went, no, you're fat.
Yeah.
Well, 50, you said you lost 55 kilos, almost 85. So you were tipping the scales at 140 at one point.
Yes.
Yeah. Which is, if you look at Mars now, you would never think that, you would never see you as that like that's like a different person. 50, you're carrying around 50 kilos of extra weight on your body.
Yeah. And a lot of people don't believe me. So say, oh, he used to be that fat guy. You try and say to people, hey, you're carrying a bit of weight. That's okay. You can do this.
Yeah.
I was you. So it can be done. You just got to decide. I like the old caption is decide your why. What do you want to do it for? Why is it? And mine was, I love my kids and I want to be here for them. I was only in my 20s when my parents passed away, and they were too young, and I didn't want to be that. I want to be here, and I want to see my kids grow up and have their families, and hopefully I become a great grandfather, And the other thing was, when they are now, my kids, grandkids are getting up there, I don't want to be the dad that sits on the park bench when they're in the play swings. I want to be, hey, Pa's on the swings with us,
Yeah.
He can do this shit.
Hell yeah. 100%.
He can swing from the monkey bars, no problem.
Yeah, let's go. And I'll race you.
Yeah, let's turn this into a comp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, that's real cool, man. And I think deciding on your why it's definitely it spirals you into thought about why you do things and what your motivating factors are, and to when you want to try something new or do something new that's something that can be really challenging, like fitness, or it's an endeavor that can come across as not as mentally stimulating. I think CrossFit's a good way CrossFit is a good thing that fixes that it's actually more stimulating than just wake up, go to the gym, here's the 5x5 program, and just to tick the list away and do it. No, sort of mind numbing, but yeah, man.
It keeps you on check too, So when it's, because it's not easy, I'm not going to kid anyone. It's not easy to lose that sort of weight, and especially probably in the time frame that I did it. But when you're thinking, I'll bugger it, I'll just have, let's not pick on any type of food, but say have McDonald's tonight. You think, hang on, what's that going to do? Am I going to derail? A lot of people fall into that old trap of, I'll start Monday, and then they have McDonald's Tuesday night. I'll start next Monday. Go, okay, I've maybe slipped a little bit, but let's get back on track. The very next one, I had a bad meal. Let's get back on track. I didn't go to the gym today. Let's get back on track tomorrow. You got to have that thing that gets you to continue to show up and do the things that you need to do. That's what it was for me. And it was, my kids was a lot of it. I think, seeing what the boys were achieving in life Brad was 17, he's going into the army,
Mm-hmm.
Moving away from home. That was a tough gig, it was tough for us to see him go, and that sort of thing, but he was pretty proud of what he'd achieved, and so were we. So it does sort of kick you into gear and say, hey, the things that I'm worrying about probably aren't really important. Let's get focused on being the best version of me that I can possibly be. I'm still working on it. It's hard work, and you show up, but that's why I try to be consistent. Get in there, do your stuff, and just turn up and keep plugging away. So,
hell yeah.
So if you're somebody, I guess, that's listening that wants to make a change, your message would be, the only way you end up failing is if you stop trying. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you, slip up, have a bad meal, miss a day of training, the best thing for you to do is the next day is to,
show up.
Yeah. Show up
in whatever way that is. If it's just a session in the gym, speak to the guys or us as, coaches, will help you. You're struggling with a bit of injury, come and do something, try and keep that habit, form that habit. And I guess it comes back, that's what the purpose of this current challenge that we're working through, C word, is to get yourself into some habits that you can be consistent with. And it's not just for the 30 days in July, it's for the next 2 years or whatever, strive
20
for your
years.
goal. Yeah. Well, for me now, it's CrossFit's been 6 years. So, I literally was just about to turn 50 when I actually walked into my first. Sorry, that's probably not correct. I did go to a CrossFit gym once before and had a really bad experience and put me off for a few years. So it probably took me, to nearly my 50s to start. So the other thing is, doesn't matter how old you are, you can start anytime.
You got to share on that now. Definitely.
I won't point out gyms. The gym still exists. I went there and did a trial, and I just felt they weren't very welcoming. They didn't. All they seemed to want to tell us about was how good their coaches were, and in their own journey or careers as CrossFit athletes and things like that. And you just felt like you were, they weren't welcoming.
Right.
Yeah. And it just put me off the thing. I was really keen to give it a crack, and we did some stuff and we did a workout and all that sort of thing. It wasn't sort of like a fundamentals. It was just like come in and do a basic CrossFit session. And then we did that at the end, and I walked away, and no one ever tried to contact me again. Hey, you coming back? Or none of that. It just left a sour taste in my mouth. So it took me a little while to come back in. And then when Brad started, and he sort of said, can't have a go. And I went and watched him a few times in the gym and said, you know what, I'll give this a crack,
Yeah.
And
watching Brad's pretty motivating, to be honest.
Yeah, look, he got
He's
to
a weapon.
really high level. Yeah, he did really, really well. He's sort of doing different things at the moment, but he's still in the gym.
Yeah.
You know, he's not with us at the moment, which, you know, part of the thing was I enjoyed it, having Brad along. And now even at the gym nowadays, I have my daughter in there, you know, she's loving on it.
Carly's been cranking it.
Yeah, she's a mum now, and it took her a little bit of time to get to that place where she's ready to walk back in, you know, with two twin boys. And but yeah, she loves it, you know. So she's got the same passion I've got. We bore people at home to death when we sit around the dinner table. 'Cause it always comes back to CrossFit, you know. It'll be something about CrossFit somewhere in the conversation. I could see, you know, my wife understands. She knows I'm passionate about it, but she'll sometimes, you can talk other things than CrossFit, you know.
Yeah.
You know, but
Yeah.
you know, that's where we come back to.
Anyways, pull-ups. Yeah. Yeah. No, but I'm similar in the way that I've trained with my mum, and I started my CrossFit journey with my mum.
Mhm.
And I think that's a really cool thing, a really special thing you can do is actually train with your parents, or, you know, what I'd imagine it'd be like to train with my son or daughter one day.
Mhm.
And so I'm just, for you, what is that like? Why is that motivating for you? Is it, and why? And is it, you know, does it make the experience more enjoyable? Are there days where it's hard if you're like, just do it, or you're having those family blues?
No, we don't really, you know, I've got a good relationship, probably partly because I don't live with my kids anymore. So
Yeah.
they're all off doing their own things.
Right.
So it's an opportunity for us to come in and be together. You know, I've done a couple of comps with Brad, or a particular comp with Brad where we went in and we competed together, and that was a really awesome experience, you know. And you know, I didn't hold him back too far, so
That's pretty
I
cool.
felt pretty good. You know, we were in an intermediate level, so it wasn't like it was a masters or anything like that. He's too young, I was too old.
Yeah.
We just mixed it in with the young boys, and we held our own. You know, he carried me a little bit, but, you know.
Yeah.
But you know, it's good fun, and
But it's such a spin out, like, to think
Yeah.
that, you know, I don't, like, me growing up, I'd never heard of like anyone going and like and doing their sport with their parents, or with their 56-year-old father, like, or that's now a grandfather. Like, you know, you're doing. I think it's such a spin out. I think it's really cool. I think it's awesome. Like, yeah, just to be able to experience that with your boy.
And it is, you know, like CrossFit's my thing. That's my passion, and that they've taken it on board and they enjoy it as much as I do. So, you know, sometimes the hardest people to get to do what you want to do are your family.
Mhm.
You know, a lot of people, you know, don't listen to what you got to say. Family can be the hardest, but mine just embraced it. You know, they just love it. The only way Sean isn't into it, you know, he doesn't mind a little bit of exercise, but I think it's never been his thing. So, you know, he's never gravitated to it, although he came in and had a couple of goes at the gym and that sort of thing, but it didn't really fit him.
Yep.
Which is okay too.
Yeah,
You know,
100%.
he's got his thing that he enjoys, and that sort of thing. But yeah, you know, 2 out of 3 ain't bad, I suppose.
Yeah.
I think that also, like, the more you do something, the more you tend to enjoy it, because, you know, so when you're first starting out, or first starting your fitness journey, it might feel like a real chore to come to the gym. You might not, you know, you might not enjoy the process, but then once you've been doing that for a long period of time, once you actually do start to see yourself improving, and then you start to understand it and you start to get better at it, then it becomes a lot more enjoyable when you're actually doing it as well. So then I think it's like, the better you get at something, the more you tend to, you know, gravitate towards it, and the easier it becomes, because you know, you're used to handling that discomfort while you're at the gym or in the middle of the workout a lot better than maybe you are when you first start out. So I think yeah, like, it doesn't matter what you do, but just stick to it, and then hopefully it'll become the thing that you love to do, and then that will keep you coming back, or at least the feeling, or how you feel when you do it versus how you feel when you don't do it. That keeps you coming back, because, you know, what would happen if you stopped, you know, showing up to the gym each day? I imagine you'd probably start to, you know, slip back into old habits.
Yeah.
I think
You do.
one of the important things of training is just, you tend to make better conscious decisions outside of training when you're going to the gym. When you stop going to the gym, then everything else starts to fall apart as well.
Yeah, well, you're always thinking, I'm putting all this effort in,
Yeah.
I'm doing all this stuff. So is this going to help me do better at that? If I eat this rubbish, is that going to help me in the gym? No, it's not, So you sort of then go, okay, I'm putting all this work in, so let's back it up with the things that are going to help it get better. Yes, I'm 56. There's a lot of things I can do in the gym. I think, my skill level's up. Could I get better at them? Yes. Am I still getting better at things? Yes. So it becomes a case of not being old, but yeah, don't do the things that are going to derail and that sort of thing. Just keep striving, keep turning up. And yes, I think what Russ said is 100%. If I'm not there, I'm thinking I'm sitting on the couch, I'm watching too much TV, I'm being idle, I'm not active, I'm not doing the things that I want to do that are going to give me the results I want at the end of the day. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's like fitness is one of those things that we're passionate fitness goers, so I'm like, it's a necessity for your life, especially if you want longevity. Some sort of exercise should be done for you in terms of just general maintenance for your body. Your body needs a lot of maintenance. You need to sleep, you need to fuel it, you need to go out, you need to train it, you need to keep all your joints moving functionally. Like, you need to take your car in for a service, and you need to keep all the parts moving functionally in your car. You need to do something for your body. And for us, we happen to choose to do CrossFit. It doesn't mean it's the only way, for people. And I think it's I think it's a great way. But my sister at the moment, she's doing the bounce trampoline classes, where there's 20 trampolines set up in the classes, and then
little
they
round ones.
and then they bounce to music, and it's and she loves it. She loves it.
Yeah.
Fitness can be a really challenging thing to bite off people, and that's one thing about CrossFit, is it can be challenging and hard for people. But I like something like that is an awesome gateway into just doing something great for yourself. She just loves to go in, and she loves music, and she just gets in there with people and sweats, has a good time, and doesn't have to be barbells and this, that, and the other at the end of the day. It can just be something fun.
Yeah, I used to do step Reebok back in the day.
Yeah,
the old thing of stepping. I've done a bit of that pump class. I had friends that were the RPM teachers, the Les Mills, and I've had a crack at all of that sort of stuff. So there isn't much I haven't been doing. You give all of them a go, and at the time they were the good thing.
Yeah.
And CrossFit eventually evolved, but I think part of it too is CrossFit isn't like the type of gym that you go into, you put earbuds in and you just stand in the corner and you vibe to your own tune. Part of it is being in a group. And for me, the days where I think, I could probably stay in bed, but then I don't get to come and hang with my friends.
Yeah.
So part of it's the community, the people that you train with, they're my friends, that's in some cases, my social part of my day. I get to high five, give a bit of banner, have a boogie with the music blaring, it's all fun stuff. And if you don't turn up, you don't get to do those things as well, let alone the fitness at the end. So
100%. Yeah. Having somewhere you can go where it's social as well, where it's two birds in one stone. Isn't it?
It is.
Yeah. Yeah, man. But I think that all roads lead to CrossFit. Because I think that you start bounce class, and then eventually, you've maxed out all the different moves you can do on the trampoline. You're doing the 360s and everything on the trampoline now, and you've been doing that for a few years, and it's time to step it up a notch, and you're like, oh, I want to see what those powerlifters doing, I'm going to go check out what those powerlifters are doing. So then you go do powerlifting training for a bit, and same thing occurs. You get pretty strong. You've gotten good at the 3 big lifts, and now it's like, oh, well, sort of getting bored of that. I'm like, you know what? I might work on my cardio endurance, get back sort of into the cardio stuff like I did back in the old 360 bounce days. And then it's like, oh, now I'm running, and now it's like, oh, well, why don't we just mash it all together and get the best of both worlds? I reckon you eventually end up in the CrossFit gym, man. That's my theory.
all this hybrid. I've been thinking all these hybrid athletes, right,
Yeah.
that are doing hybrid online, trying to do their own hybrid training.
It is.
They're people that used to hate on CrossFit. They just can't accept that. They just can't accept that they just want to do CrossFit. That's my thought. There's all these people that are doing. I saw one of these guy that hates on CrossFit, well, was hating on CrossFit like 5 years ago. Now he was doing deadlifts at the track and running.
Yeah.
And I was like, bro, you just got to admit it. You got to accept that I was wrong. CrossFit is fun.
Yeah.
Anyways, well, we'll give it another few years and everyone will be doing it, I reckon.
Yeah.
Well, we've got High Rocks now. That looks fun.
Yeah. It's sort of like a Tough Mudder thing, though, isn't it?
Is it?
That's what it feels like. The difference is that it's like they're associating to BodyFit, like BodyFit
Yeah, it was
as the
smart.
training program for that. But that could be the reason why they stay. But yeah, you seen High Rocks, Muzz?
Yeah, I have.
Thoughts on High Rocks?
Look, I think it's an extension. You know, sometimes you can get single-minded in what you do and that sort of thing. So, you know, we do all these exercises and train in the gym and that sort of thing. So why not give it a crack at something else? So, you know, it involves a bit of running and pushing some heavy weights around. It's a simple thing. So I guess their approach is maybe less technical in some of the aspects of what we do, but a lot of things are similar, you know. So I guess it's appealing as an adjunct to your CrossFit training. You know, why not have a go at that and see how you fare? I don't know a lot about it.
Are you doing it?
Uh,
You sound like you are doing it. Are you
Hey,
signing-
hey, that was a pause.
Are you
Hey.
signing up? That's all I wanted to know.
no, I'm not.
Oh,
And only because, well, I've had a couple of people ask me to do it with them, and but
Russell
I'm
did good
focused on Down Under this year. I want to try and
Oh,
qualify for that, and the High Rocks comp
So,
is
man.
yeah. But your qualifiers are the next month. Mine are the day before.
I thought mine are in August 20. They're like
No,
similar.
yours September. Your qualifier.
Oh right.
I'm pretty sure. I'm as a masters.
Get my dates in line.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you're September. So the elite in September, whereas mine's 21st to the 25th of August
Yeah.
for Down Under, and High Rocks is the 26th.
Yeah.
So you know, I'm trying to be a bit smarter. I used to be one of those guys that liked the competitive side. It was fun to do it with people, but I tended to sign up for too many, and I beat myself up pretty hard. So I'm trying to be a bit smarter and pick and choose what I do. But yeah, Down Under's the focus.
And I'm glad you're doing that now too, because I think as a coach, especially for some of the masters athletes, where I had such a hard time trying to explain that, like, just prioritize a comp and or prioritize a couple. You don't have to do them all, and they all wanted to do every single one. It was actually good to have you sort of, as you said, a couple of years ago, you did every single comp under the sun, and what you ended up, did you end up injured or?
Yeah, look, there was niggles and
Yeah,
things,
worn
but
out.
I think it just started to become detrimental to my
Yeah.
regular training, because you're always having to work around the next comp and the next comp, and
Yeah.
it started to become not fun,
Yeah. Okay.
you know, because
Yeah.
you're doing too many and that sort of thing. And it's not only that, sometimes they're expensive. So
Yeah, that's true. That's true as well.
They've inflation's definitely hit the CrossFit comps. That's for sure.
What is it? It's minimum like $140.
I swear they
you know.
CrossFit comps used to be like, you know, back in the day, $30, and nowadays you'd probably you might be 3 figures just to go sign up for a CrossFit comp.
It's because all the
To get a
all the
t-shirt.
gym rents are up. All the gym rents are up. We gotta pay our bills.
you do the open portion, and that sucks you in, and
Yeah.
you do that, and you think, well, I did okay there. Now I'll go to the next bit, and then it's just, you know, open qualifiers, then the competition itself. So by the time you finish throughout the thing, it starts to add up, and especially if you're doing a few of them. So
And I think as well, and that's the power of CrossFit as well. I think, like, to me, it's like be ready for anything. So that's why when High Rocks comes around, it's like, shit. That's why Jack's getting involved. It's like, this is what we train for. We train for literally to be ready for anything. And then sometimes you just got to maybe take a step back and go, okay, I've done a comp every single weekend. I need to chill and get some good training in. But that's what CrossFit is to me. It is being prepared for anything and And if you want to do something, whether it's high rocks or a marathon or swimming or
Tough
or
mudder, like
whatever,
you said
yeah, tough
before,
mudder.
have a
That's
crack. You know.
we're ready to go.
I've done that 3 times.
Have
but
you
yeah,
actually?
yeah, I've
Sit
done
down,
that.
sit down, Jack. Actually, do you know who told me a crazy story? Bez. Bez just one night. Sit down. Get in there. Bez one night. I was talking to him after the gym the other day, and we were talking about running. And he's like, one night I just like decided to do a marathon, and then he just paid for the marathon, and then didn't train for it, and just did it. I was like, Jesus, that is mental. Anyway, just something to add that, yeah, he just literally just one night was like, I'm doing a marathon, signed it up, and just smacked it the next week.
Well, you're getting at this point that CrossFit actually gets you ready for a lot of different
Yeah.
shit. Like you're constantly building a cardiovascular base. You're constantly building a strength base. You
Yeah,
right?
100%. That's why it's so fun, and that's why, yeah, I think all roads lead to us.
Well, I
does.
think
True, bro.
I feel like CrossFit gets you, dealing with mental hardships. Like in the middle of a workout, there's times where you want to stop. There's times where you want to give up because it's hard. It's hard. And that mental toughness prepares you for any other endeavor because it's just like, oh, well, this is, you've gone through some pretty hard stuff in the gym. So then, oh, we'll give this a go. And then you're like, oh, well, this isn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. I've just got to keep going. You know what I mean? I mean, marathon, like,
It's hard, bro. But I've
That's-
never done one. But I'm assuming it would be hard.
I'm not running a marathon anytime soon or ever. But
But could you?
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. I reckon aliens came down and said, Russ, you have to run a marathon or you're going to get shot. You would run a marathon because you're prepared for it from CrossFit.
I don't know. I don't know. I reckon my feet would give up, something like that.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, like I say, Zombieland, cardio's key. So.
Yeah. But yeah, that's I don't know, Bez is he's a bit crazy in a good way. Like he trains hard, but yeah.
Yeah, and I think like the mental toughness aspect is 100% is a factor, and it's like you're building all these like different mental toughness skills that obviously that make you mentally tough, and it's like you're doing them in varied ways. So it's like you're practicing your mental toughness when you're Olympic lifting, but then you're practicing it in a different way when you're doing a CrossFit Metcon, and then you're doing it in a different way when you're doing bike intervals or you're running, or it's like you're doing all these varied ways. So then when you're like, hey, here's a new challenge, here's high rocks, you're like, well, I'm ready for that because I've already pretty much been training 90% of the mental part of what that is. Now I've just got to get specifically physically prepared.
Do you guys have, to add to that point, am I the only weird one that does this, right? You got hard shit going on, whether it's a workout or whatever, you got some work to do. And then you think back to a CrossFit workout. Does that happen to you? You think back to shit, I did Murph with no music on, this is easy.
But what are you doing? Are you like, you mowing the lawn? Like, what are you doing?
Nah, it's like, say it's a hard workout, right? Say you're doing a workout, but it's not the hardest workout in the world. You're having a bad day and you go, I don't know, I just think back to something like a hard, crazy CrossFit workout that I've done. I'm going, at least I'm not doing that. And then I just sort of make my way. Am I the only one that does that?
No, Goggins does that.
Yeah, but so you guys don't do that at all?
No, not really.
Not even in. Oh, fuck. I'm just weird.
I'm just thinking. I'm thinking in my head. I don't want to do this again. Let's finish it so I can sit down.
But will you like, if you're about to do Fran, you'll be like, oh, I've done Fran 3 times.
Yes.
Like, I can do Fran. Or if you've done Diane, you're like,
If I've
my
done
max deadlift
Fran-
is 200. I can deadlift this 100 kilo bar 45 times.
That's 100%. That's my thought process.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like, look at the work. I'm like, oh, this is only this much. Do you know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like to add to the mental toughness, like I've done some CrossFit workouts where you've been put in a hole, and like I think back to them all the time in life. Whether it's, I don't know, doing some sort of work. I don't know. I've got a couple of hours of work to do, and I don't really do it. I go, at least I'm not doing Murph right now. I sit down and do it. I don't know. That's what I personally.
Probably do. You just don't, sort of recognize that you do it. You know?
Now have a think about it. Have a think about it. Have a
Yeah.
hard. When you're in the hard workout, just see where your mind goes. That's where mine goes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the cookie jar technique. So
That's
it's like you reach into the cookie jar and grab out a positive memory of a hardship that you got through to get you through the hardship you're trying to get through right now. That's the idea. Yeah. What are some mental toughness strategies you use, Muzz? Do you have anything that comes to mind that you sort of, keeps you going in a workout when you're about to do something challenging, getting to the gym on a day where you don't want to? Like, what's...
I don't know. I think I look at some of the workouts and think, oh God, this is going to hurt. What do I use for a mental challenge?
No,
I don't
think
know.
you've answered it. I think your cookie jar is looking at but like the way you used to look. Wouldn't it be? Because like when you were obviously struggling when you were getting into fitness, what kept you going was... Sorry, I was listening over there.
Yeah.
What kept you going was when you saw yourself at Sean's march. So I guess that's sort of a similar thing. You think back, oh shit, I don't want to be like that, or you think about your grandkids. I want to... all those things. I think they're your versions of what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I think.
They're like reasons why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And look, and I think if I don't do this and find a way to get through it, I'm probably not going to grow or get better at this particular thing, or it's the one I don't like. I probably, I'm one of those guys. I'm not a fan of running. I can do it. Yes. Do I like it? No. Would I do a marathon? Definitely no. But if it comes up, I'll do it. And that's part of it.
If it comes up on a Monday.
Yeah. Well, High Rocks training's been on my rest day lately, so I've had to stand back and watch everyone else run their guts out, and I think
It's changed now.
and you sort of go, look, I do. I sort of sit there and go, oh, thank God I didn't have to do that. But like a couple of times I thought I should just jump in and do this.
Wait, because has your roster changed?
Yes.
So
He's
So
still got his rest.
I'm still High Rock.
I was like, you're in now. No,
No, I'm coaching it now, but I think probably maybe this week. I don't know. I'll probably put my foot in, but the one that's coming up this Wednesday, maybe I'll just jump in at the end and have a crack. And that just means I potentially am going to be late for work, but we just have to see how we go. I do that once a week, but sometimes it's a bit pushed to do that twice a week. And it also comes back to my thing where I train 5 days. I try to give myself a midweek rest, just because I think I need it. When I do 6 days and I add in a few extras and do this and that, sometimes I come around to the start of the next week and that's when I find it's hard. I feel like I'm a bit beat up. I've pushed hard and I missed that rest. I didn't give myself enough recovery. And a lot of people say the older you get, the more important recovery becomes. You've got to prioritize that more. I can't think of his name.
Chris Henshaw.
Yeah, he talks a lot about that. As you get older, you've got to prioritize your recovery. So
talk to me about your Sundays, right? Because obviously your Sundays don't involve the gym or work. What are you doing? Are you just not? Are you just not moving? I see you out for breakfast some Sundays.
Yeah. Look, it can be that. Like, yeah, we've caught up with Brad Nash a couple of times, and we've met over here in Beaky, and then we've gone for a walk with them for the dog. So
you're still walking.
Yeah, I'll do that sort of thing. The colder weather, it tends to be a little bit more idle, I suppose. But I'll attack things if they come up. But
That's a good word, idle, because it's stopped but ready to go.
Yeah. It's a day to spend with my wife.
Yeah.
Like I say, I go to the gym a lot. A lot of things revolve around the gym.
And
that
I
sort of
don't
stuff.
think you guys spoke about this. Sorry if I'm doubling up here, but for people that don't know, Muzz, he still has a full-time job. Have you
Yeah.
said that?
No, I don't think.
No,
I've said
so he coaches with us. What do you coach with us? Like 4 hours?
Yeah, I do two
Coach-
mornings a
yeah,
week.
Coaches 2 mornings, full-time job in a manager position, and seems to keep doing everything as well. Crazy.
Yeah.
I need to whip myself in the show.
And has grandkids.
Yeah.
And has kids and grandkids, which is
Yeah,
So-
sometimes it feels like it's a bit of a juggling act, but
Going to bed at 8:30 is the key, man. That's what I've learned. That's what I'm taking away.
well.
8:30, I'm going to bed.
There's not.
I'm coaching till 8 tonight. Shit.
That's the night. That's the night you get to stay up a little bit later.
All right.
Yeah. I reckon nothing productive happens past 8 o'clock.
No.
I'm going to say that for 90%
Past
of
9.
people.
Past
Past 9, you've got him.
9. Past
Why?
9.
Because
well-
I reckon the majority of people past 8 o'clock, all they're doing is watching TV, which isn't getting them anywhere. and they think they're relaxing, whereas they'd probably be better off getting to bed earlier. And I reckon getting to sleep early, you always wake up feeling better the next day. If you go to bed at midnight and wake up at 8 o'clock, or if you go to bed at 8 o'clock and wake up at 6, I reckon that. Oh, sorry.
I
Get up
agree.
at if you get the same amount of sleep and you've gone to bed earlier. What time do you have to get up?
10 to 6.
Yeah, if you've gone from 10 to 6 versus 12 to 8, 12 to 8, you get up, you're feeling groggy regardless. You've had 8 hours, but you're getting up groggy. If you go to bed early, so if you're in bed at 9 and you're up at, in bed at 9, up at 4, something like that, 7 hours.
Mhm.
I
What
reckon.
about weekends? Hold on. What
When,
about
when I'm
Friday
coaching,
night?
when I'm coaching, I get up at 4. When I'm training, I get up at 4:45, and then what did I do Sunday? I was up at 6.
What time you go to bed Friday, Saturday night?
Same,
Really?
yeah, pretty
All
much.
right, I got to.
Unless I've got a thing on, it could be a work function or a family gathering or something like that. But
8:30.
But yeah, I don't see any reason to stay up. And it's pretty much what Russ just said. You're not doing it. All you're doing is watching another episode of some show or
Yeah,
whatever,
yeah.
which is nice. But my wife and I it doesn't matter. We don't even look at the clock. We'll look at each other and go, and you look and then you go, oh yeah, it's 8:30. Let's go. It's like the body clock's just regulated. It just happens, and we do that. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, so but I will stay up if I need to, but sometimes I don't like it particularly.
And I feel like it's more rewarding if you can make the most of your day on the weekend than if you stay up all night and then you sleep in half the day and you go and you get out of bed and you could have already done 5 things and been productive and whereas if you're getting out of bed and you're like, oh, half the day's gone and I haven't done anything.
Well, it's like
The
yesterday.
weekend gets away from you.
Up at 6, time coffee with my wife, just sitting around chewing the fat. Had some brekkie. Went and played golf with my daughter, her first time ever out on a golf course. So we went and did that together, and that was sort of her thing for a belated Father's Day type thing. I know it's getting a bit far down the track, but we just got round to time. They come round, stayed for lunch, had my grandchildren come round, play. By the time they'd gone home, we'd done this. It was 12:30. We had an active morning, and it was still all the day to go. So
Best feeling.
Yeah.
And-
Best feeling.
I mean, now that I think about it, though, I've always woken up early. I guess I've had to. Yeah, throughout my whole school. When you went to school, what time did you go to bed?
Whenever. Just
I was like
sometimes
8:30.
10 o'clock.
I was
yeah.
8:30, waking up early. But Mum used to wake us up at 6. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I guess that's why I wake up so early all the time. But
the best part of the day is the morning.
Mm.
I think is more, like you say, more done in the early part of the day than you're going to do in the later part
what
of
do
the
you
day.
say, Russ? Because I reckon you used to be a stay up late, wake up late guy, didn't you?
Yeah, I would say once upon a time.
Yeah.
I used to stay up late playing video games as a kid.
Yeah.
But I don't know. You don't get the same enjoyment out of video games as you get older as you did once upon a time. You're like, oh, I really haven't done anything productive here. At the end of your playing your game, you don't feel the same sort of enjoyment you did once upon a time. You're like, oh, I really haven't. I haven't moved forward in any way.
Yeah.
You've leveled up on your game. That's about it. But in real life, you haven't leveled up at all. You're going down. You're dropping levels.
What if it's a brain game? No.
I don't know. It's still a game.
Mm.
It's not. You're not. Yeah. No. I have been playing a bit of a video game lately, which I haven't in ages.
So's Jack.
Yeah, the Diablo 4. It's a good game, but I mean, like, I've finished the game now. I'm like, what's the point of playing now? You're only playing for the point of leveling up and getting better items. Like, oh, I've done the story. I'm not going to keep playing it religiously. I'd rather get to bed early and wake up and feel
played a
good.
game in his life, I don't think.
No, I used to be,
Did ya?
get on there. Like Sean's a mad gamer.
Yeah,
He loves
sweet.
that stuff. So we had the Xbox and all that sort of stuff, and played all the games, Halo and all these sort of things. But their appeal just sort of waned. I don't have a machine. I only have one TV in my house. We don't, have TVs all over the place, or TVs in bed. When you go to bed, I go to bed to go to bed. I don't watch TV in bed, that sort of thing. But yeah, gamed for a long time, did some late nighters like everyone, probably in my youth. But yeah, they just don't have any appeal for me anymore.
That's my takeaway. No TV. Don't watch TV.
Sam, you got a TV in your bedroom?
I do have a TV in my bedroom.
That's a mistake. That's
Yeah.
a straight mistake.
Yeah, I agree.
No TV in the bedroom?
Yeah.
What's it a mistake for, though?
Because you're going to stay up and later than you should watching TV for the sake of watching TV.
But I would argue that I wake up the best out of everyone except for Mars on this couch.
That's you
Yeah,
you are very prompt in,
In
the
the morning,
mornings. You're
yeah.
very prompt.
Anyway, so that's just my argument to that.
I like your space for your TV. I like, my lounge room. If I'm actively watching,
Right now, I've been sleeping worse.
Yeah.
But that's because I've been deep on the chess app on my phone.
Because it's about having the TV in the room. So that's not more so waking up, because you don't wake up and watch TV. It's more so how you go to sleep.
Yeah. Wait, do I sleep with the TV?
CSI? You've been smashing CSI.
I've
at
been
night?
watching Criminal Minds and
Yeah,
I've been
that's
playing
right.
chess on my phone. That's all I've been doing.
Yeah. I don't know. I think either one's all right. Like, you have a TV in your room if you can turn it off and go to sleep at the right time. Like,
I wouldn't trust myself with the TV in my room.
mm.
I reckon I'd be falling
I
asleep.
never had a
That's-
TV.
that's what it
I
comes back
never
to,
had a
that
TV
you
in my
trust
room
yourself.
until I moved here.
right.
So like I never had one as a kid or anything like that.
And now you're vibing.
And now I'm just like, shit, I got no rules.
Yeah, like, I'm an adult, bitch.
It'd be my way. Any way I want is my way.
Yeah, I probably watch it. In fairness, I'm probably like Muzz is. I'm in bed at like I know this sounds pretty lame. I'm in bed at about 7:30, if I'm honest. I'm in bed 7:30, 8:30. But yeah, I've just been on my phone or yeah, I do probably watch one episode. But if I have to wake up at 4, like I go to sleep at 9.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just sort of depends when I have to wake up. Like this morning, I only had to wake up at 8. So
Yeah.
But I don't think I got to perform when I'm coaching.
Mm.
I like to perform when I'm training, and I've got to be switched on at work. So
you do have big days.
I need to be rested and that sort of thing. And don't get me wrong, when I was you guys' age, yeah, I was up late. I was watching TV in bed. I was doing all those things. They just are things that I don't think benefit me anymore. I don't do any of that sort of stuff. So late nights aren't necessarily my goal anymore. I don't need to sit up and watch another episode of something. It's the time ticks by, get to bed.
That is true. If you
Yeah.
do go to bed late, say you do stay up or whatever, you go to gym, then you might coach, and then you go to work for 8 hours as well. And yeah, like I said, you need to perform at work. So I think you have to. I think.
Well, that pays the bills.
Yeah.
As much as I'd like this to become that,
Yeah.
the reality is at the moment it's not. I'm not in a position to be able to switch from one to the other. So,
Mm.
I've got to remember I've got to be performing and doing what my employers want me to do.
Is there a plan? Obviously, you just said that's the goal, but is there like a plan in place? Have you thought about realistically how you can do that or no?
Look,
Not
for
yet.
me, it's probably really about getting to that place where I can retire, and not necessarily have to make a living out of
Yeah.
coaching or CrossFit, but do have it be something that supplements the other money that I've got when I'm no longer got a steady income coming in,
Yeah.
and that sort of thing. But like the times are a bit tougher at the moment, so some of the ideas that I had in place are probably going to go on the back burner for a while, and
Okay.
so it'll probably delay it a little bit. I don't know. You never know what tomorrow's going to bring. So just get through today and hopefully have a plan in place. And if it doesn't happen, doesn't matter. Just reset your goals and
Keep
go
going.
again. Think about what you're going to do.
So what actually does keep you coaching? Because you have a full-time job. It's not like you're doing it for the money. Obviously, you're just doing a couple of hours or 4 hours a week. So why do you actually coach? Serious question.
For me, I guess it was the next extension of training in CrossFit and what I was getting from it. So for me, I like to think, I'm giving a little bit back. Hopefully I can make someone else's journey make sense and help them get the same or encourage the same passion that I think I've got for it now. I don't know. Is that the reason why? I enjoy it,
Yeah.
I guess. You know,
Yeah, because like sometimes when we do the roster and stuff, I'm like, oh, Muzz would train here, and then you're like, no, it's all good if you put me. Sometimes like I'm not sure. Do you put your training first or your coaching first?
I try and make it all work.
Yeah,
You know, so I just look at what's on and that sort of thing. Yes, would I like to take on more sessions? But I've also got to be realistic.
be realistic with when you can actually train.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's
Well,
obviously
it's more the coaching. You know, like I'd like to take on some nights. You know, sometimes I think, am I too comfortable with the morning classes because I know everyone? You know, so I'm in a comfort zone sort of thing. Would I do nights? But the problem for me would be getting here at night. You know, I finish work at 5 by the time and if I have a hiccup, I'm not going to get across to Berwick till 6. So it's hard to pick up nights, you know, maybe 5:30 if everything runs to plan. But, you know, I like to be reliable.
Yeah.
So
you don't want that.
that's
that
part of
chance
me.
not going.
Yeah. I don't want to have to be going, oh, sorry, guys, I'm not going to make it. You know, that sort of thing. So, yeah, look, I enjoy it. I like coaching. Yeah, I can't think of a real reason why. Why did I do a PT class session? Because I like fitness and I wanted to know more about it. I think I've learned a lot since I took on the coaching role, not only in hopefully imparting some things to other people, but I think it's made me really focus in a little bit on my own training. You know, I can't be telling someone this is how you get better at this and not apply it to myself, you know. So I think my personal training has improved, or my approach to the way I train has improved.
It sounds like it originally started to sort of upskill yourself a little bit, and then you sort of started to realize that fitness changed your life in such a impactful way that you want to show that to everyone. That's what it sounds like to me. Just stepping back and listening, but
Yeah.
No, good.
That probably distills it down, you know. Yeah, I like, I guess, I like my kids doing it. I think I've proven to be a good role model. And I think hopefully a lot of the younger members at the gym, hopefully I come across as a role model to say, you know, hey, I'm 56. It doesn't have to end now. You're not too old. There's always more you can do, and you know, that sort of thing. So
I personally think it will. People that listen to this, like, it literally just hit in my head. I was like, "Holy shit! Man's got a full-time job. He's training, coaching, doing everything. Yeah, crazy.
Yeah. But you make it work, and as I come back to, you know, you say, can you cover here? Yeah, I can, if I can, and I'll tell you if I can't. You know, like I say, sometimes I'm a little bit late for work, but you know, I make sure work are across all that and everything's in place and set up. So,
what would your advice to us be? Obviously, by us, I mean because we're younger. We're younger than you. Say we were 18 right here, all three of us on this couch at 18. What would your advice to us be? Doesn't have to be specifically for fitness.
Things will come at you in life. I guess, you know, there's challenges and things. Having a family is a challenge. There's always challenges, but there's always ways to overcome things. And a goal that you set today doesn't always have to be locked in stone. You know, things shift, life shifts, things come at you from different angles, and be adaptable. You know, be ready to take on things, and don't be frightened to have a crack. You know, I was nervous about CrossFit because I thought you needed to be super fit to do these crazy things that people did. It's not, you know, my work life, I went from a truck driver to a storeman with middies, and progressed through. I've been with them nearly 30 years, 28 years, and I was a manager after 4 from knowing nothing. I'm not an electrician. I don't know how to wire a PowerPoint or, you know, put a light up for someone, but I learned to run a business from not knowing how to. Yes, I was a truck driver. I was self-employed and that sort of thing. So that's very basic, but it's like,
it was the same as us PT.
Your business side of things.
It's
pretty simple.
PT and then running a gym. Yeah, get it.
But now I run a successful business. I pretty have for the last 25 years, pretty much. You know, every branch I've ever managed or been involved with has been successful. do I know it all? Am I the best? No.
But why though? Why has it been successful? Is it because like you embrace change? It sounds like it to me like you've had some sort of changes. Like you embrace change. Like to me, like starting CrossFit being overweight would be fucking hard if I'm honest. But it sounds like you just accepted it and
Yeah,
done it.
I think it
It
is.
sort of sounds like you make a decision, you sort of send it.
Yeah,
Is that
you have a go. You know, when I first walked
Yeah.
in and they said, "Righto, we want you to take over. This is your first role as a manager." I sat down there and someone asked me a question, and I went, "Oh, you're talking to me." You know, okay. Well, I've got to make a decision here. So it was the first decision, and I didn't let the whole job overwhelm me. Just do the things that are coming up right now and make those decisions. And I think I just learnt and was never afraid of learning. You know, like I said, I left Middies for a couple of years and went and managed a supermarket. You know, completely left the field, never worked in a supermarket before in my life. And I think I did a pretty good job. The hours sucked. And that's where I got down to my really light weight and wasn't eating well and all those sorts of things. Had no time for family. You know, that was the only reason I got out. Otherwise, the challenge was good, but I took it on and I learnt and I did the job, and I think I did the job really, really well. You know, they were upset when I left, and then I came back to Middies and back into a successful role. I didn't come back into it as a manager, but I quickly went back to that because I just think I think I give good leadership. I encourage a good team, a good work environment, you know, things like that. So it's just embrace things, you know. Don't be frightened of challenges.
To me. It sounds like you do embrace change and you're not scared of failure. Where I would be sort of on the opposite. I think being scared of failure is something I would struggle with. But yeah,
Is doing a good job important to you?
Yes.
And why is that? Because you can just get things done in life. You can just do them, and it's, you know.
Probably just personally, I like to, if I'm going to do something, try and do it well. You know, I like to do things well, you know, or
it's satisfying.
Yeah.
Finishing a task, looking back and going, yeah, all right.
Well, I look back over,
that was a good
you know,
day.
I come back to Middies and, you know, things that I've done and I've taught people through the years, and guys that I've hired are guys that are now my colleagues as managers. And I think in part that's the knowledge I imparted, or the training I gave, or the education I passed on to them, you know. So I guess it's a bit the same with CrossFit, you know. People become passionate about it, and probably because I'm imparting that passion and showing that drive and have a go attitude, you know. Sometimes it's not there, but most of the time it is, you know. You try to always get to that sort of place. Right.
Yeah, cool. It's like you figured out along the way that if you really try at something, there are rewards that come for that, and they're really fulfilling. It
is. You know, a lot of people talk about public speaking and things like that. That's a scary thing to do, but you know, I used to have to do it. I used to run information nights with work where I had to speak in front of 400 people. You know, it was just, did I like it? Not particularly. But it was something I had to do. So you just got up there and got it done. And in the end, I think I did it pretty well, you know, to the point where even when I wasn't in a position where I should have been running those events, the company got me to run some of those events because I think I did it well, you know.
And I think like when you get asked to do a job like that, it can actually, the first thought that goes through your head is like, whoa, I have to have the confidence to go and speak to 400 people, or I have to have the confidence to step into this leadership role, and I'm going to have to be assertive and do these things, like, and you know, but I feel like it's actually a lot in the way can be the opposite, in that it can be very humbling. You have to actually do things that are just really hard and own a lot of things, and yeah, I'd definitely describe you as a very humble person, and it's one of the qualities that I actually love about you. And yeah, what do you think the key is to making just those humble choices, doing the boring things, doing the things that are, you know, require humility? Because CrossFit breeds that. You have to be. I saw Jake Douglas talking about this on a podcast he just did. He's like, you have to have humility to do CrossFit, because you have to stand there and, like, you're trying to move a 30 kilo bar when there's a female next to you lifting double the weight, and you got to keep moving, and you're in so much pain, you're sweating, and you got up early to do it, and there's a lot of humility involved.
Yeah, there is, and it's just realizing that you're not always going to be the best at everything. You can't be. You just got to realize that's you, and don't. I try to, and I think I used to do a bit of that, was comparing myself to others. I'm not keeping up with this person in this workout. I'm not lifting as heavy as that person. And I've tried to sort of forget all that. There's just areas of things where people are better than you at certain things, but then there's other areas you go, okay, I'm actually quite good at this part. Okay, so, all right, that doesn't mean don't emphasize that, but in a workout, sometimes things are going to go your way and sometimes they're just not. I always used to, Leonie's a classic and she knows that this as well. When I first started, and I was training with Leonie a lot, and I still do, but sometimes I just think, how the hell do I catch this woman? I've made it in CrossFit if I can beat her one day. I still haven't done it, but she's just a weapon, a woman, and that sort of thing. And she impresses me every day with what she can do. I think she underrates herself a lot, but she was always my goal. Can I beat her? And then even like you were saying with the lifting, I'm doing my thing this morning as an example, and then you got the likes of Shannon McGregor and Kim, and they're lifting what I'm lifting, and I think, I'm struggling here and they're pumping it out just as easy, or even easier, but that's their thing. They're just strong women, and would I like to be stronger? Yes. But I realize there's certain things in my game that I'm not going to be super duper strong at, and that's okay too, so.
Yeah. Like knowing that's okay, and that being accepting of that, and not letting it push you back because you're thinking about others and the judgment of that you might have from others of the comparison you're creating between you and this other group of people. It happened to be 2 females this morning that are great at weightlifting, but it's just continuing to move through that.
Yeah, just remember it's stop letting it worry you that other people are doing the things. Just let it be your thing. Take it on board. Am I striving to lift heavier? Am I striving to move better? Yes, I am. And that's, am I doing the same as some of the others? I check myself sometimes. I think, I couldn't keep up. George, for example, or someone like that. And it's like, yeah, but hang on. He's 27 years my junior, so there's going to be some things that at my age, I'm just not going to keep up with these younger guys. They recover quicker. They move quicker. They're in their prime, and
they have the advantage. So if you're ever pushing them on things, which you do, then they don't have any excuse.
Yeah, but there is times there where I am, I think one of your 100%. Earlier podcasts, we said about a workout that Russ and I did together.
Yeah.
And I was hot on his heels. Could I catch him? No, I couldn't.
Yeah.
He just had a bit more of a stride in him, but
just a little bit.
I was pretty damn close. And yeah, Russ is, what are you, in your early 30s?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, sort of go, okay, there's 20 years there.
I think you're pretty competitive every single day. You always come in, you give it your best crack, and I guess that's really the message. Just come in, give it your best crack, do your best effort. Don't worry about what everyone else is doing, and as long as you're improving, you
that's what I mean.
That's the important thing. It's not about comparing yourself to what other people are doing, because of course there's going to be, there's always going to be someone better than you at something. Always. No one's ever going to be the best.
And people's motivations are different. Some are not looking to necessarily, go gung-ho with everything. They're not looking to compete. They're just coming in because this is their bit of movement for the day. That's fine too. You don't have to get in a competition or do anything. You can just have it be your day, your hour in the day where you move your body and you might grow slowly. Mel Burgess is a classic. She has no interest in competing and that sort of thing. She just likes the movement, likes to learn, likes to focus on her technique and things like that. And that's cool. That's what she wants to do. That's her journey. Don't get sucked along by the guy beside you. Are you doing what you should be doing? Are you pushing as hard as you feel you can? and then sometimes you're not pushing that hard because you're just a bit beat up, but that's okay too, and that's what I like about CrossFit. It can be whatever you want it to be.
I like that actually. That's really good. We've also been going for a fair bit here, but I do have one sort of question. You guys can ask if you've got another one. But like, I think we've asked most of our coaches, but what are 3 things that you like find hard about coaching, or 3 challenges you've sort of faced? They don't have to be long. They just be simple.
I think in the early days it was, and I still struggle with it a little bit when it's something that maybe, or like we come back to wing muscle ups. It's something I've done once, so then you sort of go, well, if I'm not particularly good at it, how do I coach it? So that took a little bit of time for me to get the adjustment that, and you look back at some guys who are really elite coaches, but it doesn't mean they're the best at all that sort of thing. They're not always going to be elite athletes, but they can coach, probably because they have the knowledge of how the body moves and things like that. But that was probably hard to adjust to. The other thing I found hard was trying to make sure I get around and give people some feedback, try and touch base with people, not
Wait, the time or the actual feedback?
get around the room, not hone in on individuals.
So it's like time management, getting stuck with one person.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And I think I do have tripped myself up a couple of times where I tend to gravitate to someone and I tend to focus in on there. So it's that, and that's still something I'm trying to get better at, is moving around the room. And I guess the third thing would be just really breaking things down and thinking, all right, well, what am I looking at here that the person's doing? What can I help them with? What can I correct? And sometimes there might be nothing. I might not see something, but you guys may. And that's just learning to understand the mechanics of the movement and that sort of thing.
So is it what to tell them once you've, or is it identifying what's wrong with it?
It can be both.
Okay, yeah. So just sort of, yeah.
Cool. Yeah, and it's all learning, and I think I'm getting better at it.
100%.
Standing up in front of the room was a little bit, like I said,
on your first snatch warm up. Is that scary?
Yeah, a little bit, because you think you sort of go,
I love that one.
I've done this 300 times, but to actually stand here and work through it, you had to set your mind a bit differently. You're in the class a lot of the time, you just go with it.
You just got to embrace it, man.
No.
You had all the right attitude towards it.
Yeah.
You said all the right things.
I think I touched base on everything, and I've also learned that sometimes if you miss a bit,
doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
No,
people aren't picking up on it. You think, oh God, I missed that bit. What did damn it. Yeah. No one cares.
Yeah.
they're
getting their warm up. Everyone just wants it done anyway.
Yeah.
Just like,
let's get to the fun stuff. Let's snatch the shit out of that bar.
When you say the wrong words or hit yourself in the face, it's all right. It's a good laugh.
I still do that. I stumble. I think even this morning I said snatch. Snatch the bar or clean the bar or something like that. Or, stumble over things, and then sometimes I look at it and I've explained a workout and I look around and go, okay, guys, I don't even know what I just said. So let's start again. If it didn't make sense to me, it's not making sense to any of you guys. So
one time Russ and I were coaching a class. I just thought of this, and I was like halfway. I was like, all right, everyone come in. I'm like, this is the workout. And then I just looked at Russ like, I don't got this, bro. and he just took over. I'm just like, I like spluttered my words for like 10 seconds. And then I just looked at him like, bro, I've forgotten English.
Yeah.
It was a 7 p.m, I think.
It made perfect sense in my mind, but what actually came out my mouth was absolutely nothing like what I intended. So... you just said, guys, okay, that didn't make sense to me, so I'm sure as hell it didn't make any sense to you guys. But there's things like that. But yeah, they're all things you get better at. So
I like you generally coach the early mornings, and I think what I like about the early mornings is everybody's in. No one's at their peak mental capacity at 5 a.m. in the morning. You know what I mean? Things are, everyone's sort of like just waking up, half asleep. So I think everyone's on the same page. Like, okay, Yeah, we know what you're talking about. We know what you're talking about. We know you're not all there yet.
But you also got to remind yourself too that
It's like a buffer.
you can run into the thing where it's the same people you train day in and day out. Don't get into that complacent point to say, oh, you know what you're doing,
Yeah.
and that sort of thing. You should still give them, their time. Explain it correctly, run through the things. All right, you may have to trim up sometimes, time constraints come into it and that sort of thing. But for the most part, go through everything as if it was a new person in the gym. You still got to give them that attention and that detail and try and be.
It's so true. I've been focusing on it again. I feel like sometimes, yeah, as you said, sometimes with time restraints and stuff, you're like, shit, you know what it looks like? Let's go. But it just never works out well if you do that. You're going. You have to stop them all again and explain, or you either have to fix everyone because they've forgotten something. But yeah, it's always easier just to go over it properly. That's one thing I've learned. Just go over it properly and then bang, you're done. Not you're done, but yeah.
Cool. Well, I think that's probably a wrap for today. Thanks for coming on, Muzz. It was really good to hear your story, and I'm sure everyone in the gym will be interested to hear how you ended up, as a coach at Underway, and your bit of backstory about you. And it's been fun. It's been a good time, boys. You got anything to add?
No.
Muzz,
Thanks
any
for coming,
final
Muzz.
remarks?
I just like to say thanks for having me on. I was a bit nervous about all this. I don't think I've looked at the camera hardly at all, but I'm just trying to take it as a conversation. But thanks for having me on, and hopefully,
I'm sure we'll see you on again.
100%.
100%.
Actually, just make sure you listen to this. It's going to be hard to listen. Turn
I
it
go,
off.
oh my
Don't
God, is that what I
listen-
sound like?
Don't listen to it with anyone. Don't listen to it
Nah,
with
you
the
can't.
missus.
In the
In the car. Just got to do it.
On the way to the gym. It'll G up for the gym.
Yeah.
So once again, thanks for having me on, guys,
No
and
worries.
I really appreciate it. It's been fun.
Appreciate it, Muzz. See you guys.
See ya.
What I meant. That was good.
Thank you.
That was good.